Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and I want to talk about the Girl Scout cookies Raspberry Rally. All right, let's get into this. So, the Girl Scouts are super famous for selling cookies, right? It's a big deal. Girl Scouts are a well-known organization, and they've been selling these cookies for decades, right? And I think if you live in America, you have bought, and you're an adult, you have there's two things: you've either bought Girl Scout cookies, or you're a soulless, heartless monster, and like you told a bunch of Girl Scouts no. Well, and frankly, I don't think any of those people would be listening to me. So you've bought Girl Scout cookies, right? So the Girl Scouts organization just did something incredibly unique, and they had never done this before. And what they did was they decided to sell Girl Scout cookies online only, right? No, you couldn't buy them regularly, right? And so these were called Raspberry Rallies. They just came out this year. They were online only sales, right? And I do think the Girl Scouts themselves were able to order first, and so basically, but what ended up happening is it was a complete backfire, and it was an absolute debacle that was a real problem for the U.S. And by the way, Girl Scouts are American. It's an American organization, to my knowledge. I don't think they're global at this point. Let me know if I'm wrong about that. But in America, this was a huge problem. And so what happened is, it was the moment this thing went online, every scalper under the sun went and just bought every box they could, and they immediately sold them on the secondary market. And so these these Girl Scout Raspberry Rallies were selling for $35 a box on the secondary market, off of a normal retail price of $5.50. That is incredible. Why did that happen? Here you go. Okay, so here's why. Name and name only. Okay, and this is the part where we get to Dungeons and Dragons. The Girl Scout cookie. People are like, there's not going to be a Girl Scout cookie that I can't eat. I'm willing to pay $35 a box to get these. Right now, real quick, what is a Raspberry Rally? I'll have to tell you. So I was incredibly fortunate. I got to eat one Raspberry Rally cookie. So I just got to eat one, right? And literally, a father who has a Girl Scout, his daughter's a Girl Scout that I know, he had some, and I was like, oh my, and I told him this story. He was like, well, I have some left. Would you like to try one? Actually, he said, would you like some, right? So I was like, dude, man, first of all, thank you. And I got to eat, and I said, I'll only eat one. Because I didn't think I would get to try these. A Raspberry Rally is just a Thin Mint that is raspberry. But guess what? Thin Mints are crazy good, and raspberry Thin Mints are super good, right? It was really good, and I was very excited to get it. And so Raspberry Rallies are genuinely good. But why are these selling for $35 a box? So let me explain why. Here's the reason. It's the Girl Scouts. People know them. They trust them. They know that Girl Scout cookies are good. And this is why Dungeons and Dragons crushes the OSR and continues to crush the OSR. You come to a Dungeons & Dragons game, you know that is going to be a good tabletop role-playing game session. Oh, is Old School Essentials good? I don't know. It might be good. I think it's run by grognards. What is a grognard? It's an old complainer? Does that sound good? I don't know, right? Like DCC, Dungeon Crawl Classics. So the whole thing's in a dungeon? I don't get to do anything in a city? Crawling? I don't know, man. I've heard about Dungeons & Dragons. I saw them play it on Big Bang Theory. It looked really fun. Pathfinder. Oh, yeah. I probably should buy a new SUV. Oh, you mean a copy of Dungeons & Dragons that's just poorly named? Is that good? It doesn't sound good. It sounds more complicated than Dungeons & Dragons, and even crunchier, right? Jason Bullman, who's that? No, I don't know. That doesn't sound good, and that's the issue, right? D&D, Dungeons & Dragons, it's good, right? Oh, you don't like Dungeons & Dragons? Do you like Chris Pine? Did you see Wonder Woman? Do you like Michelle Rodriguez? Have you seen any of the 10 Fast and Furious she's been in? Right? You don't like Dungeons & Dragons? Do you like Justice Smith? Did you enjoy Pokemon Detective? Right? This is why the OSR continues to get their butts handed to them and continues to just get crushed, right? And thank goodness for that, right? And until they realize that the actual competition is not just at the table, but is also at the movie theater, they're going to continue to lose, right? And this is why Dungeons and Dragons is the Girl Scout of the cookie world, right? We have built a brand that people trust, and I say we, right, because it's been a team effort, right? TSR, Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, you, me, right? People who always said D&D yes and never said D&D be gone. That's the true D&D ally, right? And the reality is, people trust the Girl Scouts so much they'll pay 35, and thousands of people did this. They'll pay $35 a box to get one box of cookies, right? We have built a brand that is trusted. People know if they play Dungeons and Dragons, they are going to have a wonderful, wonderful experience. And if they're fortunate enough to have listened to this channel, they know they have a possibility of learning, growing, and changing, right? And that's why Dungeons and Dragons continues to absolutely, virtually wreck the OSR left and right. And the OSR is not going to really be able to do anything about it until Kelsey Dion ascends to her final form and becomes the only true, and transforms the OSR to a true competitor for Dungeons and Dragons. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.